Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus, available to use online, at ATMs, or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.
Hi there, a warm welcome to the Racing Post Football Postcast. It's me, Bruce Millington, him, Dan Childs, him, Mark Langdon, and from Paddy Power, Adrian Croak. We are going to look ahead to FA Cup quarter-final weekend. 4 matches all live on the box. It's the Old Firm derby in Scotland. It's Liverpool versus Burnley. And we've got all the best bets on the weekend coupons, plus your chance to win either a £25 or a €25 free bet with Paddy Power. First of all, a quick chat, though, about the latest football happenings. And, Mark, we're a little bit late off today. You had a brilliant excuse, didn't you? We were looking for Mark. He's always very punctual. He's always in the studio. And he came in. So where are you? You know, I didn't have steam coming at his because you can never get angry with Mark. He said, sorry, I was interviewing Paul Ince. That was valid. What did he have to say? What was the best part of the interview?
He was talking about the time his United team got humped at Barcelona, obviously with Barcelona doing what they did to PSG. And he said, I have to take his word for it, he said, I was speaking to my son after the first leg and said, this is not over because... You know, I've been to Barcelona and I know, you know, how difficult it can be when they're on song. He was sort of talking about, I think it was Romario and Stoichkov in that team.
Yeah, that's right, it was, yeah. There used to be that brilliant chant that all the teams used to goad United with. They say Stoichkov and Romario.
Yeah. So he was sort of just comparing them to that. They're brilliant front three. They've got the moment. So I think that was probably the pick of it.
And when's that going to appear? That's in the jury for Saturday's Racing Post,
it's
isn't
going to
it?
appear in Saturday's Racing Post. He's got plenty to say about the FA Cup as well. Yeah.
Excellent. So Barcelona versus PSG, absolutely incredible scenes last night as Barca came back from a 4-0 deficit and somehow got the 6-1 win. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. From a betting perspective, Adrian, what was the reaction in Power Towers? Were you all for it, or did you get wiped out?
Pretty grim. We got absolutely wiped out on Barcelona to qualify there.
Did you? What was the biggest price people were backing that at?
The biggest price that I got back that was 40s. It was up there at 100s for a time, but nobody was willing to take it.
That was just after 3. They made it 3-1.
That was just before Neymar scored the free kick. Actually, was when it was kind of up at around 100s for a few minutes before that. But nobody was fancying that.
But it was a horror show, basically, was it?
Oh, it was an absolute horror show.
Was it really genuine, or one of those PR bullshit ones? It really was. It was properly bad, was it?
Properly grim. Yeah.
I suppose, Adrian, you're only going to see one side of that. Nobody's going to back PSG at 1 to 20, are they?
No, nobody's backing that. You're only ever taking one side of it, and then like you have everything in terms of like all the overs, all the top 3 in the goal scorer market, just everything clicked in that game.
And I suppose actually normally, at least when there is absolute, you know, a really high scoring game, at least normally you get a silly result like 6-1. You say, well, actually, people tend to play 4-0, 5. No one actually goes 6-1. But of course, that probably would have been quite popular itself, given that if PSG scored, that was the minimum Barca needed to get through, wasn't it?
Yeah, and especially once it went 3-1, you just started laying 6-1 all out the gap for about 5 or 10 minutes. But couldn't have imagined it when it was the 88th minute. Thought we were home and hosed.
Absolutely. Did you watch it, Dan, or did you make that fatal mistake of turning over?
No, I did watch it. I thought they were quite fortunate, actually. That sounds
crazy.
They
absolutely were. I didn't think they were that good, weirdly.
No, I didn't. No, I thought at 3-1 as well. For the sort of 25 minutes up to that point, they weren't relentless. They never really looked like they were going to get the 4th goal. No. So the game had completely died, really. And and even at 4, and then there's the second really dodgy penalty decision as well. So they've got a couple of generous ones. The one with Di Maria when he's broken, they never showed the replay as well.
Did he get clipped or not? He had to, didn't he?
Do you know what? I thought in real term he had, but And the fact that they didn't show a replay would suggest that he probably was clipped as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. It was just a mad game, wasn't it, Mark? You know, sometimes in your life, I think you have 10 sort of moments probably in watching football where, you know, not a team you support, but just watching football, regardless of betting, like you get off your sofa and just think, wow, that was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that probably the last one was the Aguero sort of Premier League moment that was, from a betting point of view, was absolutely sickening for me. But it was up there with that. I like Luis Enrique's celebration at the end because he's been absolutely slaughtered, and he won't get any of the praise for it. Whenever they lose, it's his fault. Whenever they win, it's the players are brilliant. I just thought of Gary Monk. You know, he got very angry when Wagner ran on the pitch and celebrated. I can just sort of imagine somewhere in deepest Yorkshire, Gary Monk thinking how disrespectful Luis Enrique had been to Unai Emery for going on the pitch to celebrate the goal.
But I mean, they're favourites now, aren't they, Adrian? What's the latest betting on the Champions League?
So the latest betting for the Champions League, we've got Barcelona favourites at 11-4. Bayern Munich are sitting there at 100-30. Then you've got Man City 10-1, Juventus 8-1, and Atletico Madrid 10-1 as well.
Do you know what? I still can't have Barca. Well, I say can't have Barca. I mean, they can win, but 11-4 is skinny as hell, isn't it?
I can't have them as favourites. No, I mean there was so much. I mean they obviously had some brilliant play, but a lot went their way, and there's so many other good teams left in the competition as well. Look at Atletico, Juventus, ones that are further down the list. Dortmund, you couldn't completely rule out.
I mean Real Madrid.
There's
You'd far rather back them, wouldn't you?
11-2, yeah. I mean, they'd be my pick at the moment of the teams. I think Juventus, as well, got a great chance.
There are more complete teams, aren't there? I think in terms of the actual team unit.
And teams that you can't see throwing in like a 4-0 as well in a first leg, that are not going to get.
Let's not forget they were absolutely rancid in that first leg, weren't they? That was embarrassing performance.
Thiago Silva's been part of that, and the 7-1 against. For Brazil against Germany. So, I mean, he's been on the end of two of probably the most astonishing football results in certainly in recent history, probably just all time, yeah.
OK, so if Barcelona showed how to come back from a 4-goal deficit, Arsenal certainly didn't. Let's talk Bayern in terms of Champions League and Arsenal in terms of whatever else they've got left to play for. I mean, Bayern first, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, actually on the night, I mean, watching the game for 50-odd minutes, they weren't that great. But, I mean, the tie's already over for that from their point of view anyway. So, and, as soon as they've then showed a ruthless streak once Koscielny's been sent off. But, I mean, they're obviously a very strong team. I'd still have my worries about them defensively at times as well. I mean, you don't forget that in the group stage, they've lost 2 matches, including away to Rostov, which was still a game at the time. Wasn't a dead rubber. They needed to win to have a chance of winning the group. So, that's a little bit concerning as well. Obviously, they're way clear at the top domestically as they often are, but I don't know. A little bit like Barcelona, I think they might be a little bit too short as well.
Could you take Bayern on, Mark?
Yeah, I think so. Dan's already mentioned the results in the Champions League. In the Bundesliga, they've lost their hardest game, if you like, away to Borussia Dortmund already this season. They certainly haven't got the same control that they had under Pep Guardiola when, funnily enough, they didn't win the competition, even though they probably deserved to win one of those when they were sort of knocking on the door year after year. I don't think that, I've said it all along, I don't think that the front couple in the market are as far clear. Even Real Madrid, I'll throw them in there as well. Just not as far clear as the rest this time around. Definitely there are flaws. I mean, Real Madrid could have gone out to Napoli. Napoli were all over them at 1-0, didn't get the second goal, conceded a set piece, and it was like sort of a pin just burst there. They're sort of the whole stadium just went dead really at that point. But definitely, I think we've seen enough vulnerability in all of those at the top of the market to suggest that it's still absolutely wide open.
OK, we'll get some outright bets from you then. Adrian, we'll start with you. Who do you fancy now?
I like Juventus there, the 9-1. They're so strong in Serie A. Yeah, I'm agreeing with the lads. I couldn't take the top 3 really at the prices they've got.
Dan, who's your outright fancy?
No, it's the same actually. Juventus. I just think there's very few weaknesses in the side. Very good defensively at 9-1. I would also just throw in as well that at slightly bigger price Borussia Dortmund as well. Just not obviously nowhere near as good defensively, but a little bit like Barcelona and Bayern Munich. They can blow teams away as well on any given day.
What's the story with Aubameyang? Because again, he was poor in the first leg, wasn't he? And came alive there. Does he blow hot and cold, or did I just see him on an off night?
He's been coming back. No, the first leg. I mean, I think the head coach said that he was still coming back to fitness after the African Nations Cup. I think he took him off actually after about a few minutes after his penalty miss on about 60 minutes. Since then, his fitness has been getting better and his goals have started to flow as well.
OK, Mark, who do you think is going to win this?
I mean, I like Dortmund as well. I mean, everyone says about their vulnerability defensively, but when they've actually come up against the big games so far this season, they've defended really well. They kept Bayern Munich out in a 1-0 win. They beat Leipzig to 0 when the pressure was on against Benfica. They've kept another clean sheet. I think that they're as good as most going forward. I mean, they do chuck in the odd stinker defensively, but it's generally in sort of the games that don't really matter to them, if you like.
OK, and we're still only halfway through this, well, 3/4 of the way through this enthralling round of 16, which has already given us great moments, hasn't it? Monaco, Man City, Monaco, and the game, the Barcelona game. Any fancies for next week, Adrian? Who do you like in the concluding ties?
Juventus at home for Porto, 4-6. Kind of, Porto didn't do much against them in the first leg. Juve don't have to win the game, but they'll probably go out and do it anyway.
I'm going to do my bollocks on Tuesday at Cheltenham and then try and get out of trouble by backing Seville. What price will you give me, Seville? Bit of 5-4?
Seville at the moment are 11-10.
11-10.
Yeah, the draw is 5-2, and you've got Leicester here at also 5-2.
You can put up anything above about 1-2, and I'll still be smashing them up. Anything catch your eye, Dan, for those concluding games?
I've not looked at the prices yet for the Monaco City game, but I don't think that ties over, actually. Having watched the first leg, I thought they were very lucky to get away with the 5-3. I thought Monaco looked the better side for long periods of that game, and I just think that there's a chance they could even come back into that.
I think the overs will be quite short there, Adrian, aren't they?
Yeah, it's the price for the game itself. It's a pick'em here with both sides 13-8, and the draw is 23-10. And then the overs, as you said, pretty short, 4-9 for the over 2.5 and 13-8 for the unders.
Mark, who'd you like next week?
Yeah, I mean, I'd maybe even just go over 3.5 in that Monaco Man City game. I mean, I just don't see how it
basketball
can be.
match, wasn't it?
Yeah, it will be. I mean, I think City are actually better when they get involved in those type of games. When they it's sort of been in some of their narrow matches, the 1-0 at Liverpool and last night the 0-0 with Stoke.
Yeah.
I think they're better off just being full-blown sort of pep football, if you like, and just going for it.
Which is what that will be. Okay, great stuff. We'll have a look at the FA Cup ties next.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive kicker feature. Add a kicker to your bet, and the more your team wins by, the more you win. And for this weekend, if your first Premier League or FA Cup kicker loses, get your money back as a free bet. Max £10 money back. 18 plus. Gambleware.co.uk. T&Cs apply.
Okay, the first of the 4 FA Cup quarter-finals takes place at 12:15 on Saturday. It's Middlesbrough versus Manchester City. Adrian Croak, how do Paddy Power bet on this one?
So we've got Middlesbrough there at 11-2. The draw is 16-5, and you can back City at 4-9.
Okay, Dan, start us off. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think clearly looks City as strong favourites deserve to be. They weren't quite right against Stoke in the 0-0. Stoke did a really good job on them, defended well, but he has been tinkering with his side a little bit. They've had a lot of games coming thick and fast recently, so I'd be with City, but I just think it might take them a while, maybe if the team's not totally first choice, to break Middlesbrough down. And Borough nicked a 1-1 at the Etihad earlier in the season in the league. They don't concede that many goals. They've only been behind at half-time in 4 of their 16 home games this season. So maybe a slow burner, City to take over in the second half. So I've looked at draw City half-time, full-time at 10-3.
That seems to make perfect sense. What do you like, Mark?
I like Man City to win to 0. Having just said there that I think Guardiola's team are best when they're sort of full throttle going for it. I don't think they will be because of this Monaco game that's coming up in midweek. I think that they'll try to just control it and just nick a victory. Middlesbrough haven't scored in their last 4 against Premier League opposition. That's why if they are to go down, it will be because of the lack of goals. And actually, City have kept 5 straight clean sheets since that disaster at Everton. So away from home, they have tightened right up. I just don't think Middlesbrough have got enough about them to cause the upset. City are potentially vulnerable given the fact they've got this Monaco game. Also worth pointing out, the quarter-final ties are decided on the day this time, so no replay, so extra time and then pens.
Oh, excellent. And also, I'm told there's a 4th sub, which is something that there always ought to have been. Any tie that goes to extra time, you should be able to have a 4th substitute.
Definitely,
It's actually for player welfare more than anything.
Yeah,
You're playing injured, knackered players, and that's when they get hurt. So, that is interesting. I guess what that might mean, Mark, is that you might get more ties kind of not fizzling, but, being a little bit less frenetic late on, do you think, or not?
Hard to say, isn't it, really? Because I wouldn't have thought that Guardiola would have wanted extra time either, really. So I tend to think that the teams will just play it
as per normal.
I suppose if you're away from home, you haven't got that benefit of thinking, okay, well, a draw, say like United, we'll talk about them later on. United maybe would have thought a draw was a good result at Stamford Bridge, taken back to Old Trafford. That's sort of gone
that's no
now.
good anymore, is it?
You might get more aggressive substitutions in the 90 minutes as well, because teams
You've got
would
the
often,
option,
hold back the subs, thinking about possible extra time. So that could increase that possibility.
Okay, that's interesting. Adrian, who do you like in this game?
I'm kind of going with the unders. On the unders, you can get even money at the moment, 8-11. I mean, Middlesbrough just don't score, and if Man City go 1 or 2 up, they're not really going to try and blow them away with the Monaco game.
No, that's
midweek,
true.
I might try and take it handy.
Has anyone got any good anti-post left on the FA Cup? My last one's bloody Middlesbrough.
Yeah, I'm on Middlesbrough. I fancy them less now than I did in the third round stage.
Yeah, they've absolutely gone, haven't they? Talking of teams that have gone at 5:30, it's Arsenal versus Lincoln City, the last fixture that Arsene Wenger would want, arguably, because having been humiliated left, right and centre recently, a poor result against Lincoln would probably just finish him off, I would have thought. But I guess they are monumentally short, Adrian Croak.
1-14 at the moment. You can get the draw at 11-1, then Lincoln 28-1.
Okie dokie. Well, Lincoln have done fantastically well to get to the quarters, haven't they? But surely the road to Wembley reaches a brick wall that they will not be able to penetrate here, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, the managers, Danny Cowley's done a fantastic job, there in the league and in the cup. I think they're well on course. Won 4-0 at Braintree in the week, which he described as a game he was looking forward to more than the one at the Emirates. Because it's so important in them pushing to go up from the National League. I just think he's talked about having 9-10 minute games just to try and compartmentalise the fixture, but I just can't see them keeping Arsenal at bay here for 90 minutes. I think look at their previous rounds, they've done great, but some of their teams have underestimated them. Brighton fielded pretty much a reserve team against them. Ipswich put out a weakened team in both of those matches, went to a replay. So I just think this is far and away their toughest game they've had so far. Striker that got a hat-trick for them in midweek on loan from Peterborough, Lee Angol, is cup-tied, so he can't play. So you've got big Matt Reed's going to be the main threat to Arsenal from set pieces. Surely Arsenal can deal with that. I mean, dealing with Lewandowski and then dealing with Matt Reed is a different thing. So
what's the bet then, Dan?
I just think that Arsenal will win the game. There's going to be a load of protests and things, so don't expect them to be brilliant, but I think they'll win 0, 8-13.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, I was. I mean, obviously Lincoln only had like one attempt, didn't they, against Burnley, and just nicked it very late on. Classic, really, I suppose, what you'd want from an underdog. I was looking at the second half to have most goals. If you have a look at Lincoln's cup ties so far against league opposition, 4 of the 5 have had more goals in the second half, and they will be. I'm pretty sure that Cowley will be sort of time wasting, from the start, and that. I'm not expecting Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal didn't do it against Sutton in terms of really blowing them away, but maybe this is a better opportunity at home to really sort of put their foot down in the second half. And you mentioned earlier, I was interviewing Paul Ince. He said when he took his Macclesfield side to Chelsea, similar test, they did quite well first half. They were 1-1 at one stage, and it ended up 6-1. And I'm not saying it will be 6-1, but you can see that Premier League quality telling as the match wears on.
Was he nice, Paul Ince? Did you like him?
Really nice.
Excellent.
Yeah, he really was a nice bloke. And I was trying to keep the interview reasonably short because I knew I had this to get to.
You shouldn't have done. You should have made us wait.
No, he was. He was happy to chat.
Oh, wow.
Which was.
Did you call him the governor?
I didn't. I didn't.
Adrian, how easily will Arsenal win this game?
Yeah, you'd expect that they should kind of canter to a victory here.
What's the handicap, Mark?
The handicap, it's -3 at the moment for Arsenal, so you can back at -3 at 13-10. If you're looking for at the back here, maybe going for the handicap, always goal scorers, I find a good one here. So a few each way goal scorers, maybe like Giroud or Welbeck, whichever one starts up front might be the best pick there.
Okay, so that's that done then. Right, it's competition time. Every week, our sponsors, Paddy Power, give listeners the chance to win a free £25 or €25 bet. There's also a competition on the Racing Review Show every Monday, so plenty of chances to win. All you have to do is answer the question and tweet your answer with the hashtag Postcast. And last week's winner, by the way, was Alex Bellew from Bedford. So what a great week for people called Bellew. I don't know if he's any relation to Tony, but he landed a knockout blow there. So good luck with your free £25 Paddy Power bet. For your chance to win this week, just tell us who scored Arsenal's goal in their 5-1 loss to Bayern Munich on Tuesday night. The winner will be announced in next Thursday's Football Postcast. The winner will have their bet credited to their Paddy Power account. You can open an account at paddypower.com or through the Racing Post app. Let's get Saturday's naps.
This will not be beaten.
What's your confidence levels like, Dan?
Pretty low, actually.
Pretty
I'm
low.
not having a great season, but
no.
yeah, but I'm confident about this one.
Coming in, who we got?
Yeah, West Ham at Bournemouth at 7-4. I thought they played all right in parts against Chelsea. They got Antonio back. I think they missed him midweek. Bournemouth got Mings and Sermon banned. They've got the third worst defence in the league. I think West Ham will go and win there.
Okie dokie. Mark, who do you like?
I like it's the Derby della Lanterna in Genoa. Genoa versus Sampdoria on Saturday. I'm going for Sampdoria, draw no bet. I mean, Genoa have only won one of their last 12. That was against a very awful Empoli team who scored. The goals came in the 89th and 90th minute. Samp unbeaten in 6. That includes wins over Roma and away to Milan. These two teams look like they're heading in very different directions.
Okay, I'm going to go for Rochdale at 12-5 at Milton Keynes Dons. I'm not quite sure why there's such a big price. They're 6 points ahead of Milton Keynes and they've got 2 games in hand. So I like Rochdale. They're at a big price. Who do you like, Adrian Croak?
I'm going to go for Hertha Berlin at home to Dortmund. They're Hertha +1 on the handicap is 13-10. They've only lost once at home all year, and they drew with Bayern there recently, so their home form's fantastic. They're top of the league, I think, for home form, so seems a bit short for Dortmund at 4-6.
Okay, Sunday's game's coming up.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive kicker feature. Add a kicker to your bet, and the more your team wins by, the more you win. And for this weekend, if your first Premier League or FA Cup kicker loses, get your money back as a free bet. Max £10 money back. 18 plus. Gambleware.co.uk. T&Cs apply.
Hi there, Bruce Millington, Dan Childs, Mark Langdon and Paddy Powers, Adrian Croak. We're looking ahead to Sunday's live football, and we'll start with the 2 o'clock game at Tottenham. It's Tottenham versus Millwall. All police leave cancelled in both London and Glasgow, because there's also Celtic Rangers. We'll have a chat about that. Tottenham would obviously be a very hot favourite here, but hot is going to be the word that describes the atmosphere as well. How do Paddy Powell bet?
So currently we've got Tottenham 1-6, the draw is 11-2, and Millwall are at 12-1.
You're both Tottenham fans. You're going to take your boys along?
yeah, this is one.
No chance.
Keep your head down, I think, really.
I mean, even 2 o'clock's too late, isn't it, really?
I'm very surprised it's a 2 o'clock kickoff. I assumed it would sort of get the morning slot, the 12 o'clock sort of absolute nailed on. But I don't know. Maybe we're over egging it, and hopefully it will pass off relatively peacefully. I think a lot will depend on the match result. You know, you don't want the Millwall fans getting bored if it sort of ends 3 or 4-0, because that's when I think trouble's more likely.
You say that, Mark, but I remember the one and only time I've ever been to a match involving Millwall was in 1985 at the Old Den. I think it was an FA Cup game, and we were winning 1-0. And they equalised in the last minute. I was disappointed, but I thought, and it was absolute bedlam throughout the game. Segregation had a day off. It was hideous. It was the most frightening thing I've ever known. Okay, and I thought, well, at least they won't be too irate afterwards. We got to the exit, and they were there like feral animals, shaking the gate, waiting for it to be open. Honestly, we had to run down this alleyway, and there were bricks raining down on us from the old from the old dog track, which they demolished. It was absolutely hideous. I said I'd never ever go to a Millwall game, and I never ever have. Anyway, that's that. Football wise, what's the score going to be, Dan?
I can see this. I think Spurs will win the game comfortably, but I'm not sure they'll keep a clean sheet. I'm looking at Millwall. I mean, Millwall got a lot of credit because they beat the 3 Premier League teams, Bournemouth, Watford and Leicester. The thing you've got to remember there, though, is that all of those teams were effectively the reserve 11. So, you know, it was at the Den as well, and they've not really coped, the reserves, with the atmosphere there. Millwall, I think, will have a go. They've got Morrison and Gregory, look like they're going to play together up front. O'Brien as well gets goals from like wide midfield. All those players have got double figures, in the season. So there's a goal threat there. I think Spurs at the back as well, they tend to make changes for FA Cup ties.
Could have a bit of Wimmer or Trippier.
Trippier could play. Wimmer has played 2 of the 3 games. Vorm has played all the cup ties this season, so it might not be as solid as usual at the back. The bet I've gone for is Spurs to win and both teams to score 15-8. But I'll just give a mention as well. If Kyle Walker does play at right back, he may well not, but he's 33-1 to score first. You watched Spurs recently; he's getting quite a lot of shots in, getting forward a lot, and he'll certainly, if he plays, get forward a lot here. So that's worth looking at if he plays.
Good shout, Dan. Mark, what do you think?
I've got Kyle Walker written down. It's very messy
Where? Oh, sorry, you have.
That's how many shots he's had. He had 4 shots against Stoke and 3 against Ghent, so he's absolutely bombing forward at the moment. But like Dan, Trippier tends to start these games, so I'm going to give a shout out to another rampaging defender of Spurs that's been carrying the ball forward a lot recently. Vertonghen had a couple of efforts against Everton. He's got this weird. He hasn't scored for Spurs since October 2013, which for somebody that came from Ajax with a reputation for being a goal-scoring defender, he was sort of getting 6-7 goals. I know the Eredivisie.
That is amazing, isn't it? You've got to do a nodded one in at least.
Yeah, I mean, he goes up for the corners and he's been carrying the ball forward now as part of this back three. I'm expecting Millwall to defend deep, and maybe it's going to be some long-range effort like that does it. But I mean, Millwall are still in the bad books for me for missing 2 penalties.
No, you're struggling with that one, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I'm refusing to give it up. I mean, to miss 1 penalty on 90 minutes against Oldham is bad enough. To miss another one after 95.
Can you just tell me, were you following that live, or were you?
I followed the first one. I was watching. Like the bookmakers do that thing now where
the visualization.
I was sort of like big attack or whatever, penalty, and then penalty missed. The second one, when the penalty miss came up on there, I switched it off because the first one was bad luck, and I followed it on Millwall's Twitter. Which was even more painful, actually, and not as painful as seeing Gregory score a penalty the game after, and then a 90th minute penalty the game after that. So,
that is a proper hard story. That one.
I'm really hating Lee Gregory at the moment. So, So Vertonghen to score any time is my bet in this one.
Okay, and Adrian, what price Gregory to score the winner from the spot in the 90th minute? I might have a little request a bet on that one. Adrian, what do you think will happen here?
I think Tottenham should win it pretty comfortably. I'm a big fan of Tottenham at the minute. They've been fantastic to watch.
They have, haven't they? They are so damn good, aren't they? And I wrote today in my column that I think Harry Kane is still underrated. Implausibly. I just don't think he's getting anything like the love he should do. He's such a great player. So what's the score going to be then, Adrian?
Yeah, I'd be looking kind of Tottenham again. I know they might not play their first defence, but they are so well drilled defensively. Pochettino seems to be a really good defensive coach, so I would be looking at a more 3-0, 4-0. You can get 6-1 or 17-2 for either scoreline.
Jolly good. 4 o'clock. We're back in the Premier League. Liverpool versus Burnley. Liverpool lost at Turf Moor earlier in the season, so we'll be gunning for revenge. Burnley's away record not great. 8 of the last 9 they've lost. So how short are Liverpool on a weekend of very short price teams?
They're 1-4 to win it at the moment. You can get the draw 5-1 here, and we've got Burnley at 10-1 at Anfield.
I won't be backing Liverpool at 1-4. Will you, Dan?
No, I think they'll probably win the game. I'm never sure about Liverpool defensively, to be honest. I just think, especially with set pieces, and Burnley, are a threat from set pieces. They're a little bit vulnerable. And I just can see Burnley getting a goal in this one. They've scored in the last 7 games. They do have it's the last 7 Premier League games they've scored in. They do have a set pieces. You got Andre Gray and Vokes. So combine quite well together. Vokes a threat in the air. Got 2 goals at Swansea in the last away game. So I think Liverpool win the game. Going for the same bet as I did with the Spurs Millwall game. Liverpool to win and both teams to score at 7-4.
Lovely, Mark.
Yeah, I was looking at the Liverpool half-time, full-time double result, because it's one of those where if Liverpool are not ahead at half-time, you probably wouldn't want to be on Liverpool, if you know what I mean. And I think they're about 4-6 with Paddy Power on the half-time, full-time. Liverpool have won 9 times at Anfield in the Premier League. 8 of those they were ahead at half-time. So when they start quickly, they're a much better team. And the only time they didn't was against Sunderland, which I suppose is a slight concern, given that Burnley will probably defend the way Sunderland did. But Coutinho went off injured early in the first half, and I think that maybe took a little while for Liverpool to work out how to play. Interestingly, Coutinho had his best game, I thought, last week since he come back, and that could be a real big bonus for them last couple of months of the season.
Liverpool fan Adrian Croak, what's your betting strategy for your boys here?
If you could find someone that take a bet on the coin toss at the start, that's kind of all I'd bet on Liverpool at the moment.
Oh, really? You can have 4 to 5 heads.
That's outside of that. Trying to pick up what Liverpool are doing any given game, it's complete guesswork at this stage. Maybe going for the goal scorers. Mane's been on form. You get him first here at 7-2, but it does seem a little short for a guy playing on the wing.
So no bet for you think? You're just going to sit there and hope?
Well, probably Burnley +2 if I had to push one. You can get him Burnley +2 and the handicap at even money.
Okay, very quick word. Celtic Rangers, that kicks off at 12 o'clock. It's also on telly. Anyone got a strong view on that one? Celtic just win, won't they?
I had a little look at the first score. Moussa Dembele's got 12 goals in his last 6 games. He's 3-1 for the first goal. For a game they're 2-5 to win at home, that seemed all right to me.
I thought Dembele each way, was more than fair, really, at 3-1. I mean, he's absolutely...
Who's going to buy him in the summer?
It's going to be somebody right at the top, I would have thought. I mean, Chelsea or somebody like that. I mean, he's
brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Absolutely brilliant, isn't he? He really is. Adrian, any thoughts on that? How'd you bet? How short are Celtic?
Celtic at the moment are 2-5 to win it. The draw is 19-5, and Rangers are 7-1.
I tell you, you're going to have all manner of hackers running up onto the Monday night game, aren't you? If you're not careful, Adrian. And we will talk about that Monday night game next.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive kicker feature. Add a kicker to your bet, and the more your team wins by, the more you win. And for this weekend, if your first Premier League or FA Cup kicker loses, get your money back as a free bet. Max £10 money back. 18 plus. Gambleware.co.uk. T&Cs apply.
OK, lots of these quarterfinals have got a pretty one-sided look, but the final one looks a little bit more competitive. 7:45 on Monday. Chelsea take on Manchester United. So a real top-notch battle of the big guns there. Having said it will be competitive, I suppose Chelsea are still mega warm, aren't they, Adrian?
Yeah, they're 5-6 here to win it. The draw is 5-2. United are 3-1, and you have to remember this is a United team without Ibrahimovic, so the price is probably about right. Maybe if you're backing anyone, Chelsea maybe.
Damn right. I hear you, bro.
Yeah, I think this could be tighter, actually. I think the timing of the fixture, being on a Monday rather than a Sunday, helps United quite a bit. I think if it was playing Thursday in Rostov, then Sunday FA Cup, then it's a real difficult ask for them. But you've got to remember that they don't look brilliant in a lot of their games, but they're becoming quite tough to beat. 1 defeat in 27 games at the moment going into the Rostov game.
Really?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, then that was the whole game where they didn't actually they could afford to lose 2-1 and go through.
They sort of won even though they lost, didn't they?
So they're becoming a really hard side to beat, which Mourinho teams, generally do. So Chelsea, I thought against West Ham, I got a lot of praise for it, but I thought they really cruised through the game, and I thought West Ham actually played okay. And there's a Hazard's fitness. What is it like? He didn't look too great, after he came off. He was a big part of their counter-attacking football as well. So I just feel that this could be closer than the markets say, and I think maybe extra time. 90 minutes draw 5-2.
90 minutes draw 5-2 for Dan. Who for you, Mark?
I've got a few different ones written down here. Over 29 minutes for the time of the first goal. No in the both teams to score market, and under 2.5 goals. Obviously, Chelsea blew United away in the Premier League, that 4-0, but they scored in the first minute, which completely changes the whole dynamic of the game. United's game plan, and having got the 0-0 Anfield on the Monday night, everyone was expecting them to do the same at Stamford Bridge. I expect them to try to do that once again, even more so, without the threat of Ibrahimovic up front. But that will, it's not as if they're short of options in them sort of forward positions. It does make them slightly less likely, I suppose, to score goals, but it maybe even makes them more likely to defend in numbers. So I can see it's being a tight game, like what Dan was saying, and you got your pick of your bets there, and possibly the best one over 29 minutes for the first goal. I mean, this could be a slow burner.
Righty, what price is 0-0? The lads are talking me into betting in a very boring fashion for this game, Adrian.
You can get the 0-all at 15-2 here.
15-2, lads. That's not too sad, is it?
I mean, the way I suppose it does depend to some extent what the teams are like. But I mean, Chelsea can surely put out their best 11 now, given the Premier League should be done and dusted. United possibly depends what happens in Rostov tonight. But speaking before that, I'm expecting a tight game.
Adrian, what do you expect him?
I think it could be tight enough here, but again, United without Zlatan, not knowing what team they'll put out, I think the Chelsea 5-6 is about right. Looking through it, maybe the goal scorers, Juan Mata's got a very good shots on target ratio this year, and you can get him any time here at 4-1.
That sounds half decent. OK, chaps, excellent. It should be a really, really interesting weekend, and then obviously we flow straight into Cheltenham and into the Champions League as well. Got any Cheltenham fancies, chaps?
about. I've looked so little. The only thing I could tell you about Cheltenham is that they're playing away at Doncaster this week.
You're more of a Windsor Monday night man, aren't you? What about you,
Well, I've been through the champion hurdle. I went through the champion hurdle yesterday and decided none of them could possibly win. None of them were good enough to win that. Have they decided where Neil Wolf's going to run?
Neil Wolf? No, they haven't. But I think, funny enough, I'll start that in the column today. Whichever race he runs in, he's going to be a big threat.
That was what I took out of the Supreme. If he runs in that, then he'll win that, and nothing can win the champion hurdle. Yeah.
Nothing can win the champion hurdle. You heard it here first. Thank you very much indeed for listening or watching. Don't forget to rate us in the iTunes or subscribe. Thanks a lot. Back next Thursday for another Racing Post Football Postcast.
Check out Paddy's new kicker feature. If you fancy your team to run riot, add a kicker to your bet. And if your team win big, you win bigger. Paddy Power, you beauty.